Hello everyone, Dead Logic here, and today we're going to look at the difference between a bargain low quality whip and a high-end whip. So what we have in front of us is a $30, $60 budget whip, I suppose you'd call it, from Amazon. Now the whip maker claims that it's made of the highest grade cowhide, and it's been made by a family that's been making whips for over 35 years. That's all well and good, but what we need to look at is the actual construction of the whip and the quality of the materials involved. So, if we take a good close look, we'll see that the plating is rather loose. The whip is squishy, which is a really, really bad indicator. There's no beveling on the laces. The heel knot literally twists. You look right here at the transition knot, the heel knot. I'm holding the transition knot firm, and I'm able to twist this knot. This is kind of an important indicator because when you hold the whip, you hold it by the knot, and that acts as a ball and socket joint, and it does take some pressure from the whipping action, and this has the potential to come off and completely destroy everything. So a few things we need to look at when looking at the quality of a whip. One is the maker and their integrity, and the construction of the whip, and the materials from which it's made. So if we look at the plating, number one, as we already mentioned, it is rather loose. The whip is quite flimsy. It's a wet noodle. It doesn't hold any real shape at all. It's very, very, very flimsy. Got a lot of little kinks and creases in it. The taper is not very I'd say it's not very good, but it's incredibly gradual, which would indicate to me that the belly of this is a material other than leather or even cable or shot-loaded cord or something like that. Some whips that you'll get are nylon whips that are that have an overlay in leather. This, on the other hand, is not the case. So my brother and I used this whip a few times. I don't personally use this whip for anything other than kind of letting somebody fool around with the whip if they want to mess around with it and under supervision, so they don't develop really bad habits. But cracked it a few times, relatively gentle. My little brother got a hold of it, and I taught him a cattleman's crack, and we noticed that the fall hitch, which I just threw together really, really quick because we actually dismantled this, blew apart. And the fall literally came off the end and went flying. So I saw the core of the whip sticking out, and I cut a piece off and unrolled it, and this is what we discovered. This is literally the plastic used to make grocery store shopping bags. It's really flimsy, nasty plastic with a little tiny layer of a gauze-like textile material that's really, really fragile. It tears really, really easily. It's almost like gauze. And then another layer of this plastic. Now, this is not going to hold up to repeated use. It's going to cause some issues. A couple of the issues that it causes: number one, the whip has no life to it. And in addition to that, it forces you to develop bad habits by trying to muscle the whip to get it to do something because there's no weight to the whip through materials. And it has no rigidity and no transition to the whip. So if you're considering getting into whip cracking or buying a whip, I would highly recommend that rather than buy the cheapest thing you can come across that hopefully will work for now and develop some bad habits, you move in to a higher end whip right off the bat. Because one, you'll develop much better habits, and you'll be money ahead in the long run because you won't be replacing this every 6 months. You'll have a whip that'll last a lifetime. You'll be able to learn on it, and as long as you take care of it, you won't have these issues. So let's move into one of my absolute favorite whip makers. His name is Victor Tella. He's out of Arizona. One-man operation. Some of the best customer service you'll ever find. And his whips are all kangaroo. It's going to be double belly, kangaroo hide whips. He makes several models, and the least expensive model of the actual bull whips is called the economy whip. Don't be fooled. While it is much less expensive than his other whips, it is still a kangaroo whip. So let's take a look at it right now. This is an 8-plat double belly kangaroo hide whip. We can see the plaiting is very, very tight. It rolls out incredibly smooth because Victor doesn't have to drop strands as he plaits down the whip. The knots are firm. You can see there's no twist whatsoever. These knots are incredibly firm. The knot work is done really well. This is a natural and a dark brown. His falls are nice and thin, nice and long. The fall hitch is superb. And this whip is around $200 for an 8-foot. So if you take this $200 kangaroo hide whip with double bellies, excellent construction, and none of this garbage in it, against this, which you'll be replacing several times over a couple of years, you're already money ahead getting something like this. Not to mention, Victor has incredible integrity when it comes to his clients. If you ask for something, the man will bend over backwards to make sure that it gets taken care of. Time frame's not that bad, and he makes every whip to order. So you order something, he starts making it, and it's a handmade product. So now as we move up the line a bit, we come to a 12-plat kangaroo hide whip. This is Victor's indie style whip. Now this is not a screen accurate whip. It's not claimed to be a screen accurate whip. In fact, Victor states on his website that this whip is his version of the indie style whip. So it follows his design and his style on the whip. But it is 12 plat. The knots are correct. The wrist loop is correct. And it's all around just a great whip. It rolls out straight. The plaiting is incredibly tight. It's also a double belly kangaroo hide with a white hide fall. Excellent, excellent fall hitch. And this whip is one of my personal favorites. It rolls out smooth, cracks like crazy with very, very little effort. Now, I recently ordered a new whip from Victor. It was delivered not too long ago. And this is a 12-plat Indy 4 whip. And this thing is pretty epic. It's a 10-foot rather than the two 8-foots that I just showed you. Now, even though this is an Indy whip, this shows what Victor will do for his customers. I requested the knots to be bicolored. So, same color as the whip and then a natural, as I like the patina and the age that a natural leather develops. Also, double belly, kangaroo hide, incredibly tight plaiting, very, very accurate on the knot work and the 8-inch handle. And this whip is insane. You flick the wrist and it cracks immediately. I've never had an issue with one of Victor's whips. So if you're interested in any of his products, go to www.snakewhip.com. And Victor also has a phone number you can contact him on. He's probably in the shop all the time, so you might have trouble getting a hold of him. But if you do email him, he gets back within 24 hours. And he will bend over backwards to make sure that you have exactly what you want. So if you're interested in getting into whip cracking, talk to Victor. If you'd like me to review these whips individually, leave a comment in the section below. More whips to come. We'll be reviewing some tools that you'll need when you purchase a whip and storage options for your new whips and your high-end whips when you get them. Thanks again. Like, subscribe, and share.